Okay, well, hello everybody. Okay, so I'm back with another video, and my previous video was sort of an introduction to this channel. And I was sort of trying to give my explanation of perhaps why someone at some point in their life, whether it starts, when they're young or whether it happens later on in their life, when they have some time to reflect and really think about things deeply, they might perhaps start having an existential crisis. And I tried my best to sort of give an overall picture of why someone might be going through something like that. And this video right here is also, I would say, probably my number one reason for opening up this channel, because this channel is sort of like to sort of help me in my own thoughts about it, but also if anyone happens to stumble upon this channel, it would make me feel good if they watched it and realized, okay, so I'm not alone. Other people have had this feeling. And what feeling am I talking about? Well, we're all born and we live in this world, and we have, some are blessed to have really great friends and family and support, but at one point in your life, you can sort of start feeling like, oh my God, I have people around me that love me and support me. Or you might even have like a really amazing, girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife. And then you still sort of feel like you're alone in this experience. And you're probably wondering, well, why would someone ever feel alone in this experience when they're lucky enough to have such great people around them that love them and support them? And the answer to that is really, really simple. And it's a deep and heavy thing. To anyone who has never felt this, I would consider you one of the lucky ones. But let's say, for example, if you've ever felt this. By the way, I wrote something about this that you can see in the description. It's dark, it's heavy, but it's something I wrote. It's something I wrote to sort of truly illustrate the depth of that sort of feeling you can have. So if you look down below in the description, you'll see a little thing I wrote there. It's titled Unbearable. So we're having these experiences here on Earth, and you have great people around you, and somehow you still feel alone, and you wonder, how can that be? Well, ultimately, the reason sometimes we can still feel completely alone is because your whole experience, your whole life, is just happening through your eyes, through your own experience, through your own body. And no matter how badly you want to connect with someone else, how deeply you want to connect, you still feel like it's just you having this experience alone. And if you've ever felt that, it truly is unbearable. Just like what I wrote, like I said in the description, the little thing I wrote. That's how it feels. It literally feels unbearable, because you want to try so close to connect with people and be close to people, and somehow you still sort of feel like it's just you having this experience. Now, I know that someone's going to say, oh, well, that's actually a condition. It's very common. I know there's like this idea of like, you believe that it's just you're the only one that exists, and everything is in your own head, and you're the only one. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you can completely understand I'll give it. It's not that. It's not that. It's like there is that where someone might feel like it's just them and but that's not what I'm talking about. But that can also feel just as lonely, and you can probably get the same feeling. But I'm talking about, okay, let's say even if you have the philosophy of, let's say you've thought about this deeply and you have the philosophy of like, oh, we're all one, we're all connected. But then we come to Earth and have these incarnations, right? Now keep in mind, if you're somebody who's more perhaps scientifically minded and you don't really get too woo about like metaphysical concepts and the idea that we're all consciousness and we incarnate in the bodies, you can take all of that out and just simply go with the bare facts that we're just human beings in these bodies and we're separate. Now, why do we feel so alone? Why do we feel like even when we're surrounded by people who love us, why do we still feel so alone? Or why can we still feel so alone, right? Well, it's simple. The reason we feel so alone is because we're having the experience of separation. That's why we feel so alone. So this idea in metaphysical terms or spiritual terms that we're all one, right? It's like one of the sort of universal messages from almost anyone who has ever perhaps meditated really deeply or has some sort of awakening experience or some sort of psychedelic experience. They all come back basically with the same message, which is, oh, we're all one, everything is linked, right? So you think that's beautiful, that's amazing, right? You never have to feel alone again because we're all one. Well, let's say we are all one. Big picture wise, we're all one. So you have this idea of like, let's say we're all just one eternal consciousness that's linked. But you can call that consciousness source. You can call that consciousness all that is. You can call that consciousness God, whatever name you want to put on it. It's irrelevant what name you want to put on it. So it's just this one eternal awareness. And it's sitting there going, well, it's sort of boring talking to myself here. So this idea that this oneness separates itself into these infinite individual pieces. So now what we're left with now is that there's infinite separate pieces of the whole. Now, so why do we feel alone so much, or why can we feel so alone? Is because instinctively, intuitively, we can feel that separation from the whole. There's just this little bit of emptiness inside that you just feel that you're separate. Because now, the separateness that we feel, a lot of times there's sort of like a plus and minus with every sort of experience, right? It's very similar to the idea of like when you make a choice. Let's say you want to make a choice. When you make a choice, you're completely aware that the second you make one choice, you're eliminating 10 other choices or more. And so you make one choice and it's, you're going to have a good experience with this choice that you made. But at the same time, it still hurts a little knowing that you had to say goodbye to those other 10 choices. Sort of very similar to that. In what way? Well, it's like this. So like you're a part of the whole and you feel really just finally, when someone says like they have like this experience, this spiritual experience or psychedelic experience, they finally feel whole. They're like, oh, thank God, I finally feel whole. I don't feel alone anymore. I can feel how connected I am to everything. And it's a beautiful, overwhelming feeling. But then you come back into this body and then you start living your life and you start feeling that way again. And you wonder, why is that? Why? I remember I felt whole for a second there. How come I don't feel that way? Well, because you're in a separate individual body with your own ego, having your own experience. So that's the the flip of the coin for this. There's wholeness, but there's also separation, and they both exist simultaneously. So that's why you can feel so incredibly alone, even though you have loving people around you, is because you intuitively still feel that separation, because you're an individual having your own experience. See, people talk a lot about the ego, like, oh, we must destroy the ego, we must eliminate it because it's the ego that's keeping us down. Well, the ego is just simply the ego. It's the thing that lets you have your own individual identity and experience. It serves a point. Now, when you're tired of having your own individual experience, then let go of the ego and merge back into oneness again. But eventually, like I said in my previous video, if this truly is eternal and it just goes on forever, you're going to probably just keep going back and forth from wholeness to separation, from wholeness to separation. Because no matter how great that wholeness and that togetherness feels, you know, if you experience that for billions of years, eventually you're going to maybe get curious again and be like, oh, I wonder what it's like to have my own individual experience again. You get nostalgic for it because, yes, the individual experience can make you feel terribly alone. Like I said, that thing I wrote in the description down below called Unbearable, that's how you can feel. And believe me, if you read it, you're going to be like, oh my God, it's dark, it's sad, it's low. Like if you read that, you're like, God, I feel bad for that person. I can't believe they wrote down those words. But that's how it can feel, because it's intense. You're separated from the whole and you're having your own individual experience. Everything you experience in this life is only through your own eyes. Even when you're together with somebody, you're holding them tight. You want to feel together. You want to feel as one. You're still having that experience by yourself. It's only from your own eyes that you're seeing it. So you always sort of slightly feel alone all the time, no matter how many people are around you, because you're having your own individual experience. So that's sort of the payoff for wanting to have an individual experience. You get to express yourself individually, see what you can do by yourself with your own ideas, your own thoughts, and your own personality, your own unique personality. It's like, see, like right now I could just be like, oh, look at me, I'm Tony right now. This is my personality. I have like certain sense of humor that's mine. Like, you know, you kind of relish in your own individuality. You're like, this is who I am. This is what I like. And that's the payoff to have that, to sort of like feel like you're your own thing and like you're unique and you're your own person. And this is kind of like my thing. And this is my fashion. This is what I like. The payoff for that is that you can also feel incredibly alone to have that separation and that individuality. You know, imagine like the idea of a hive mentality, the idea that maybe like, oh, maybe you wonder, wow, I wonder if that group of birds, you know, you see these birds flying up in the sky, you wonder, wow, I wonder if they just share like a overall consciousness and they're all linked because it looks so beautiful. They're flying together. You know, you start feeling these beautiful thoughts thinking, wow, that must be so beautiful. But maybe at one point, one of those birds is like, you know, we're having a group experience here. Like it's almost like it's like a soul group. You know, we don't have individuality. We're kind of like a hive mind. And then maybe one of those birds at one time thinks, I wonder what it must be like for me to fly on my own, to feel what it's like to not fly with a group of other birds, to just fly on my own, to have my own thoughts and my own experience separate. So, you know, and then you have that experience and the bird has that experience and then it realizes, wow, I can't believe it. My thoughts are my own right now. It's not a collective thought. My feelings are my own. My experience is my own. And like this little bird can't believe it's having its own separate experience. And it's mind blowing for this bird because it gets to express itself. It gets to express its own individuality and uniqueness. And the more it separates from the whole, the more it has its own unique experiences. And those unique experiences is what sort of builds that bird's personality and its character and its likes and dislikes. So it becomes like its own separate, special, unique thing. And it's beautiful, but what's the payoff for that is that you can definitely at some points feel incredibly alone, like mind-numbingly alone. You know, I mean, it can go as deep as you want. I'm sure there's some people who just literally feel so alone, they're crippled by it. They literally can't even move. That's how intense it can get. Because you literally have separated yourself within your own ego and your own experience, and you are, in a way, always having that experience alone. No matter how close you try to get to somebody, you're having that experience alone. They're there with you, but you're only having that experience through your own eyes, through your own thoughts. And it's an incredibly heavy thing. It's an unbelievably heavy thing to experience. So like I said, for someone who has never experienced that level of aloneness, you're one of the lucky ones, because if you've ever felt it, it's pretty mind-numbing. But the only thing we can do is sort of, from a metaphysical, spiritual standpoint, is just understand why it's that way. And it's the idea that that's the payoff to have your own unique ego and your own individual personality and identity. That's the trade-off. You know? So here I am, I'm Tony now, having my own unique personality and experience, and the trade-off for that is once in a while you feel unbearably alone. And that's the human experience, to have that individuality. Once again, when you feel that way, the only thing you can do is, talk about it, connect with other people who might be feeling that way. And does it ever take it? Does it ever eliminate that loneliness completely? Maybe, maybe not. But all we have is each other to just talk through it. You talk to somebody, you're like, man, do you ever just feel completely alone? The other person's like, yeah, of course. And then, you talk about it a bit, you connect, and that's the best we can do. But if we sort of understand it from a metaphysical, spiritual standpoint, why we feel that alone, because we are separate from, we're separated and we have our own individual identity and ego and personality, then at least we can make a little sense of it, why. And so to anyone who might have accidentally stumbled on this video and has felt this way, if you watched it, I hope you at least get a little bit of relief knowing that, oh wow, okay, so I'm not the only one who feels this way. Now I know that I'm sure there's many YouTube videos that talk about this topic, so I'm sure I'm not doing something incredibly unique and mind-blowing. I'm sure many people have talked about this idea, but I just wanted to give my own unique taste on it, because this is my own unique experience and my own unique personality, and I'm expressing it through my unique individual set of eyes and thoughts. So, and that's what we're all doing. So as heavy as these topics are in this channel, because like I warned you guys from the beginning, I have other YouTube channels that are more fun and more like sort of creative and adventurous, but this is during those times, like I said, you can't keep busy 24 hours a day when you're in your own thoughts and you're thinking about things deeply. That's what this channel's about. So maybe some videos to come will be a little bit more lighthearted, but maybe not. No promises. We'll see. But like I said, these are heavy topics. That's what this channel's for. So that's it for now. And I will see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Be good to each other. Bye.